Malaga Radio.
Freshly squeezed.
The juice on all the daily events along the coast.
With just a little bit of zest.
Hello and welcome to the Málaga Radio Weekly Diary, your guide to what's happening across the Costa del Sol during the week ahead. I'm Carmen.
And I'm Baptiste. If you've listened to Freshly Squeezed, Malaga Radio's morning show, you'll already know us. If this is your first time joining us, welcome.
Every week we take all of the festivals, concerts, exhibitions, sporting events, food experiences, and local celebrations happening across the Costa del Sol and bring them together in one place.
Because whether you're here for a few days, a few weeks, or enjoying life on the coast year-round, there is usually far more happening than most people realize.
And holidays are funny things. Months or even years later, people rarely remember every single day. They remember a handful of moments. A concert beneath a castle, a village celebration they accidentally discovered, a family day out that turned into the highlight of the trip, a place they hadn't planned to visit but ended up loving.
And our job is to help you find some of those moments, because somewhere in this episode might be the festival, exhibition, sporting event, concert, or experience that becomes one of your favorite memories of the Costa del Sol.
This episode covers the week beginning Monday, the 1st of June, and running through to Sunday, the 7th of June, 2026.
And it's a busy one. We'll be exploring Torremolinos Pride, the beautiful Corpus Christi celebrations in Málaga and Benalmádena, Pablo Alborán's homecoming concert beneath Sohail Castle, the Nikki Beach White Party, major sporting events including LIV Golf and the Estepona Triathlon, plus food festivals, exhibitions, and plenty more besides.
So wherever you're listening from, whether you're planning your week, sitting by the pool, driving along the coast, or simply looking for inspiration, we're glad you're here.
Let's find out what's happening across the Costa del Sol this week.
Malaga Radio.
Every week we sit down and try to work out what the Costa del Sol is talking about. Sometimes the answer is obvious. A major festival, a huge sporting event, a big holiday weekend. But this week feels different because wherever you look, towns and cities across the province seem to be telling their own stories.
And those stories are very different. In Torremolinos, thousands of visitors are arriving for Pride celebrations that have become one of the biggest events on the local calendar. In Benalmádena, volunteers are preparing tens of thousands of flowers for Corpus Christi. In Fuengirola, Pablo Alborán is preparing for a homecoming concert beneath Sohail Castle. Meanwhile, golfers, runners, cyclists, art lovers, and food enthusiasts are all finding their own reasons to be here.
And that's probably the thing people don't always realize about the Costa del Sol. There isn't just one version of it. There are millions of visitors every year, and they're not all looking for the same thing. Although the funny thing is, most people aren't looking for just one thing either.
Exactly. The same visitor might spend the morning exploring a village, the afternoon on the beach, and the evening at a concert. What people are looking for changes throughout the day, and that's why a week like this is so interesting. The Costa del Sol isn't offering one experience. It's offering hundreds of possibilities depending on your mood, your timing, and what sort of day you want to have.
What's fascinating about Torremolinos is that while Pride has become one of the town's biggest annual celebrations, the story itself goes back much further. For decades, Torremolinos has had a reputation for being one of Spain's most international and open-minded resort towns. So when the streets fill with music, visitors, and celebrations this week, it feels less like a new chapter and more like a continuation of a story that's been unfolding for years.
At the same time, just a short drive away, communities are preparing for Corpus Christi, flower carpets, street altars, processions, traditions that connect modern Costa del Sol life with centuries of history. And that's what makes this week interesting. Not that one event is happening, but that so many different traditions, interests, and communities are sharing the same stage.
Which means the real question isn't what's happening this week. The real question is, which version of the Costa del Sol are you looking for? Because over the next hour, we're going to explore celebrations, culture, food, music, and outdoor adventure from right across the province.
And we'll start where many of this week's biggest conversations begin, out in the streets, because the festivals and traditions of this week are telling some fascinating stories of their own.
Malaga Radio.
One thing that immediately stood out this week is that some of the Costa del Sol's biggest events aren't happening inside venues at all. They're happening out in the streets. Whether it's a parade in Torremolinos, flower carpets in Benalmádena, or a procession through Malaga's historic center, This is a week where communities are stepping outside and sharing traditions in public.
And if you're visiting during the first week of June, these are exactly the kinds of events that help explain the personality of a place. They don't just happen in the town. For a few hours, the town itself becomes part of the event.
Let's start in Torremolinos, because Pride 2026 is one of the biggest events on the Costa del Sol calendar this week. The celebrations have been running across the town since late May. But Saturday, the 6th of June, is when the biggest public moment arrives with the Grand Parade.
The route runs from the town hall to the Pablo Ruiz Picasso Cultural Center and brings together artistic floats, performers, music, and thousands of visitors. Even if you're not specifically attending the parade itself, you'll notice the atmosphere across the center of Torremolinos throughout the weekend.
And what's interesting about Torremolinos is that this isn't a new story for the town. For decades, it's been one of the Costa del Sol's most international destinations. People arrive from all over Europe, different cultures mixed together, and the town has always had a reputation for being open, lively, and welcoming. Pride feels less like a one-off event and more like an extension of that identity.
If you're someone who enjoys festivals, live music, public celebrations, and a busy atmosphere, this will probably be one of the most energetic places to be on the Costa del Sol this week.
From one of the province's largest celebrations to something completely different now. Because on Sunday, the 7th of June, Benalmádena Pueblo hosts one of the most visually striking traditions of the year during Corpus Christi. More than 85,000 flowers are used to create enormous floral carpets across the streets.
What's remarkable is that most visitors only see the finished result. The real work begins much earlier. Volunteers and local families spend hours carefully arranging petals, greenery, and patterns before the processions begin later in the day.
I think that's what I love about it. You arrive and see something beautiful, but behind every section of those carpets are people who have been working through the night and early morning to create it. And the strange thing is that it only exists for a few hours before the procession passes through.
It's one of those events where arriving early is part of the experience. You can watch the preparations, see the designs taking shape, and experience a side of local life that many visitors would otherwise miss.
If photography, local traditions, and community celebrations appeal to you, Benalmádena Pueblo should definitely be on your radar this weekend.
Staying with Corpus Christi, Malaga City hosts its own celebrations on Sunday evening. While Benalmádena focuses on floral artwork, Malaga's event has a very different atmosphere.
This one centers around the cathedral and the historic center, where processions, music, and decorated streets create a more formal setting as evening approaches.
The 2026 procession follows a carefully organized route through the city and is accompanied by live bands and traditional ceremonial elements that have been part of local life for generations.
And that's what makes these two Corpus celebrations so interesting. They're connected by the same tradition, but they feel completely different. One is colorful, floral, and almost artistic. The other feels grand, historic, and ceremonial.
Which means visitors can experience two very different interpretations of the same celebration within a relatively short distance of each other.
And that's probably the theme running through this entire segment. 3 major events, 3 different atmospheres, 3 different ways communities come together and share something important to them.
Before we move on, here are a few additional events worth keeping an eye on this week.
If you're exploring beyond the headline events, you'll also find smaller community celebrations, local cultural activities, and related festivities taking place across towns throughout the province as communities mark the start of the summer season.
As always, full dates, locations, times, and direct links for all of this week's events can be found on malagaradio.net.
From traditions that have been passed down through generations, we're heading next into galleries, exhibitions, and creative spaces where artists are telling very different stories.
Because culture on the Costa del Sol this week isn't staying behind museum walls.
Malaga Radio.
One thing I always find interesting is how many visitors come to the Costa del Sol expecting beaches and sunshine, then end up spending an afternoon in a museum or gallery they never planned to visit. And this week, there are some particularly strong reasons to step indoors for a few hours.
The cultural calendar is surprisingly busy right now, ranging from large-scale contemporary art installations to photography exhibitions and architectural showcases. Let's begin with one of the biggest names on this week's list, Joana Vasconcelos and her exhibition Transfiguration.
If you've ever walked into a gallery and immediately stopped because something was much bigger, brighter, or stranger than you expected, that's very much the experience here. Joana Vasconcelos is known for creating large-scale contemporary works that completely transform the spaces around them.
And that's part of the appeal. This isn't the sort of exhibition where you quickly glance at a few paintings and move on. The installations are designed to occupy entire rooms and encourage visitors to look at familiar materials and objects in unexpected ways.
I think that's why exhibitions like this work so well on holiday. You're already outside your normal routine. You're already looking at things differently. So walking into a space that challenges your expectations somehow feels very natural.
If you're interested in contemporary art, design, or simply seeing something visually memorable, this is one of the standout cultural events of the week.
Our next stop is quite different because Mario Alghezi's photography exhibition focuses less on installations and more on people, places, and human stories.
Photography exhibitions can sometimes be overlooked because everyone carries a camera in their pocket these days, but professional documentary photography still does something most holiday snapshots don't. It captures a moment, a place, or a community in a way that encourages people to stop and think.
And I suspect most listeners will understand that. We've all taken photographs while traveling, but occasionally you see an image that somehow tells a much bigger story than the moment itself. That's what makes exhibitions like this interesting.
For photography enthusiasts, curious travelers, and anyone interested in seeing different perspectives on the world, it's well worth a visit.
Another exhibition attracting attention this week is Arquitectura sin Centro. And this one takes us in a completely different direction again.
Architecture is one of those subjects people experience every day without necessarily thinking about it. Visitors walk through plazas, historic centers, seafront promenades, and neighborhoods constantly, but rarely stop to consider why those places feel the way they do.
That's true. Some streets instantly feel welcoming. Some squares become natural meeting points. Some buildings become landmarks. We notice the result without always noticing the design behind it.
Which is exactly what makes this exhibition interesting. It explores how architecture shapes communities, public spaces, and the way people interact with their surroundings. It's the sort of exhibition that may leave you looking at cities a little differently afterwards.
And that's quite a nice theme running through all three of these exhibitions. They encourage visitors to slow down and look more carefully. Whether it's contemporary art, photography, or architecture, they're all asking us to pay attention to details we might normally walk straight past.
Before we move on, here are a few more cultural events worth noting this week.
You'll also find the colorful Florigatos exhibition, additional museum displays across Malaga, family-friendly cultural activities, and a range of smaller gallery shows taking place throughout the week.
If any of those catch your attention, you'll find full exhibition details, opening times, venue information, and direct links on malagaradio.net.
Looking at art can work up quite an appetite.
Conveniently, some of this week's most interesting events involve food, markets, and a few traditions that are every bit as important as the exhibitions we've just discussed.
Málaga Radio.
Food is one of those subjects that everybody thinks they understand until they travel somewhere new. Because very quickly you realize food isn't just about eating. It's about traditions, communities, family recipes, and the stories people tell around the table. And this week, there are some wonderful food-focused events happening across the Costa del Sol.
Let's begin in the Axarquia village of Corumbela, where Sunday, the 7th of June, brings the Dia del Pan Cateto. At first glance, it sounds like a festival dedicated to bread, which technically it is, but it's also much more than that.
I absolutely love events like this, because visitors often arrive expecting something quite small and simple, then discover an entire village celebrating one of its most important traditions. Pan cateto is a traditional Andalusian bread, baked using methods that have been passed down through generations. And this festival brings those traditions into the spotlight.
Visitors can watch demonstrations, enjoy free tastings, and experience a very different side of the Costa del Sol from the beaches and resorts most people associate with the region. There's also a large communal paella later in the day, along with music and local festivities.
And that's what makes it special. You're not just tasting something, you're experiencing a community sharing part of its identity. For anyone interested in local traditions, authentic food culture, or simply exploring inland Malaga, Corumbela offers a very appealing day out.
From a traditional village celebration to something much more hands-on now. Because throughout the weekend, Culinaria in Malaga's Soho district is hosting a series of interactive cooking workshops.
And this is one of those experiences where you leave with more than a meal. You actually learn how to create it.
There are sessions focused on different cuisines, including Peruvian, sushi, and Italian cooking, all led by professional chefs.
The workshops combine preparation, instruction, and a communal meal at the end. So participants don't simply watch a demonstration, they become part of it.
I think that's why these experiences are becoming so popular. Years ago, people traveled somewhere and bought a souvenir. Now many people want to learn something, try something, or create a memory they can take home with them.
And if you're traveling as a couple, solo traveler, or small group, these workshops offer a very social way to spend an evening.
Our next stop takes us down to the waterfront because the Muelle Uno Spring Market continues throughout the week in Malaga.
This is one of those events that's perfect for people who prefer wandering and discovering rather than following a strict schedule. The market brings together local crafts, regional products, food stalls, and artisan producers in one of the city's most attractive locations.
And the setting definitely helps. You've got the Mediterranean on one side, the city on the other, and dozens of stalls in between. It's very easy to arrive intending to stay for 20 minutes and still be there much later.
You'll find everything from olive oils and cheeses to handmade products and gifts, making it a useful stop for both visitors and locals.
Food experiences continue elsewhere across the city too, because guided tapas and wine tours are giving visitors the chance to explore Malaga's culinary traditions through its markets, squares, and historic streets.
Many of these experiences include stops at a Tarazanas market where visitors can sample local products while learning about the city's food culture from guides who know the area well.
And that's something I always enjoy when traveling.
There's a difference between eating somewhere and understanding somewhere. Food often tells you a great deal about a place and the people who live there.
Which means these tours appeal not only to food lovers, but also to curious travelers interested in the stories behind what appears on the plate.
Before we move on, here are a few more food and hospitality events worth noting this week. You'll find additional tasting experiences, smaller food markets, afternoon tea experiences, and even the culinary-themed comedy production MasterChef, which combines theater, music, and food-inspired storytelling in Malaga.
As always, you'll find full dates, locations, opening times, and booking information for all of these events on malagaradio.net.
Of course, food is often just the beginning of an evening on the Costa del Sol.
Because once the tables start clearing, many visitors are heading towards concerts, live music venues, and some of the biggest nightlife events of the week.
Málaga Radio.
If there's one segment that really captures how different Costa del Sol evenings can be, it's this one. Because this week, you can find yourself watching a homegrown superstar perform beneath a medieval castle, attending one of Marbella's most famous summer parties, or wandering through live music and entertainment events spread across an entire town.
And if we're starting anywhere, it has to be with Pablo Alborán, because on Saturday, the 6th of June, the Malaga-born singer brings his KM0 tour to Marenostrum Fuengirola at Sohail Castle.
It's difficult to imagine a more Costa del Sol setting than this. You've got the Mediterranean behind the stage, Sohail Castle overlooking the venue. Thousands of people gathered outdoors on a warm June evening. Even before the music starts, it's already quite an experience.
And there's something fitting about Pablo Alborán performing here. He's one of the region's most successful artists, and this feels very much like a homecoming concert. For many people, it's one of the standout music events of the entire summer calendar.
What's also interesting is how Marenostrum itself has become a destination. People aren't simply attending a concert. They're attending a concert in a venue that's now recognized across Spain for its setting and atmosphere.
If you're visiting the Costa del Sol this week and looking for a major live music experience, this is probably one of the clearest answers on the calendar.
From a castle concert to one of Marbella's most famous social events now. Because Friday, the 5th of June, sees the return of Nikki Beach Marbella's White Party. And this year's theme is Baroque Dream, White Party Masquerade.
For many people, this event acts as the unofficial opening of Marbella's summer social season. It's one of those dates that appears on calendars months in advance and attracts an international audience from across Europe and beyond.
And even if you've never attended one, you've probably seen the photographs. Everyone dressed in white. The beach club transformed for the evening. Music, performances, entertainment, and a very distinctive visual style. This year, the organizers are adding white and gold masquerade elements, with masks encouraged as part of the theme.
It's important to understand that this isn't really a concert in the traditional sense. It's an experience. Dinner, music, DJs, performances, and a carefully designed atmosphere all all combined to create one of Marbella's most recognizable nightlife events.
And I think that's why it continues to attract attention every year. Some people go for the music. Some go for the social scene. Some simply want to experience an event they've heard about for years.
If luxury beach clubs, international nightlife, and high-energy summer events appeal to you, Nikki Beach will undoubtedly be one of the busiest places on the coast this weekend.
Our third stop takes us back to Torremolinos, where Pride celebrations continue throughout the week with concerts, performances, and entertainment spread across multiple venues and public spaces.
What's interesting here is that music becomes part of a much larger celebration. Visitors don't necessarily need a specific ticket or destination. The atmosphere spreads through the town as stages, performances, and live entertainment become part of the wider festival experience.
And that's often when you discover something unexpected. You might arrive for one event, turn a corner, and find a live performance, a DJ set, or a crowd gathered around a stage you didn't even know existed.
For visitors who enjoy spontaneous nights out and lively public events, Torremolinos offers plenty of opportunities throughout the weekend.
Before we move on, here are a few more music and nightlife events worth noting this week. You'll also find tribute acts, live bands, DJ sessions, club nights, and smaller venue performances taking place right across the Costa del Sol, giving visitors plenty of options whether they prefer large-scale events or more intimate evenings.
As always, you'll find full event details, ticket information, venues, and direct links for all of those listings on malagaradio.net.
Some people spend their weekends watching performers on stage.
Others spend them competing themselves, because from golf and triathlon to mountain challenges and active adventures, this week's sports and outdoors calendar is every bit as busy as the music scene.
Malaga Radio.
If the music and nightlife segment was all about watching people perform, this one is about people doing the hard work themselves.
And this week, the sporting calendar is incredibly varied, from world-class golf and endurance racing to mountain adventures and family fun by the sea.
Let's begin with one of the biggest sporting events on the Costa del Sol calendar. LIV Golf Andalucía returns to Valderrama, bringing some of the world's best golfers to one of the most famous courses in Europe.
Even people who don't follow golf closely tend to recognize the name Valderrama. It's become one of those venues that's almost legendary within the sport.
And for spectators, that's part of the attraction. You're not simply watching elite golfers compete, you're watching them on a course that's hosted some of the biggest moments in professional golf. The event attracts international attention and reinforces the Costa del Sol's reputation as one of Europe's leading golf destinations.
I always think golf is one of those sports where the surroundings become part of the experience. The landscape, the course design, the atmosphere around the event, it's all connected.
And if you're a golf fan visiting the region this week, LIV Golf is undoubtedly one of the headline sporting attractions.
From professional golfers to multi-sport athletes now, because Estepona hosts its annual triathlon this weekend, and that's a completely different challenge.
The event combines swimming, cycling, and running, creating one of the most demanding tests on the sporting calendar. Participants begin early and spend hours transitioning between disciplines as they work their way toward the finish line.
I think what impresses me most about triathlons is the commitment.
You don't wake up one morning and accidentally become a triathlete. There's a lot of training behind every competitor standing on that start line.
For spectators, race day is always interesting because you can follow different parts of the event and watch athletes tackle completely different challenges throughout the course.
Our next event takes us from the coast into the mountains, because the Mar Maroma returns this week, offering one of the toughest endurance challenges in the province.
This isn't a stadium event. This isn't a golf tournament. This is a mountain crossing that tests physical and mental resilience over many hours. Participants travel through challenging terrain with the objective of reaching the finish through determination, preparation, and persistence.
Events like this always amaze me. Most people look at a mountain and think, that's a nice view. Somebody else looks at the same mountain and thinks, I'd like to run across that.
And there are usually quite a few of those people involved. For trail runners, outdoor enthusiasts, and endurance athletes, Mar Maroma is one of the standout adventure events of the week.
Now, after talking about world-class golfers, triathletes, and mountain runners, I think it's time for something completely different, because Torre del Mar hosts the 9th Carrera del Color en la Playa on Sunday morning.
This is a 5-kilometer event along the beach, promenade, and coastal paths. And unlike the previous events we've discussed, nobody is really talking about finishing times.
No, because the objective appears to be covering as many people as possible in brightly colored powder.
That does seem to be a significant part of the experience.
And I don't think you'd survive 5 minutes.
Why?
Because the entire event looks specifically designed to turn sensible people into walking rainbows.
I suspect you would spend the whole morning attempting to cover me in bright pink powder.
Attempting?
Thank you for proving my point.
What's lovely about this event is that it's designed for everybody. Families, friends, children, casual runners, people in costumes, people who haven't run 5 kilometers since school. Everyone seems welcome.
There are color stations, music, entertainment, costume competitions, and a festival atmosphere throughout the route. It's sport, but it's also a community celebration.
And I think that's a perfect reminder that not every sporting event has to be serious to be memorable.
Before we wrap up, here are a few more active events and activities worth noting this week.
You'll find cycling activities, running groups, kayaking opportunities, social paddle sessions, tennis events, and a variety of outdoor experiences taking place right across the Costa del Sol.
Whether you're looking to compete, participate, or simply watch, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved. As always, you'll find full event details, routes, locations, and links on malagaradio.net.
And that's probably a good summary of this week as a whole. Whether your idea of a great weekend involves a concert, a food festival, an art exhibition, a sporting challenge, or a village celebration, there's been something happening somewhere across the province.
Which is exactly why we put this diary together every week, to help you discover what's happening, where it's happening, and perhaps find something you might otherwise have missed.
Malaga Radio.
You know, when we started this episode, we talked about how different people come to the Costa del Sol looking for different things. And I think this week has been a pretty good example of that. We've explored major public celebrations in Torremolinos, flower-covered streets in Benalmádena, concerts beneath Sohail Castle, food festivals in the Axarquía, world-class golf, endurance challenges, and a rather colorful run along the seafront in Torre del Mar.
Which means whether your ideal weekend involves music, culture, food, sport, traditions, or simply discovering somewhere new, there has probably been something happening somewhere across the province that deserves your attention.
And hopefully, we've helped you find a few ideas along the way, because that's really what the weekly diary is all about.
Helping visitors and locals alike discover what's happening across the Costa del Sol and perhaps uncover something they might otherwise have missed.
If you'd like full details for any of the events we've discussed today, including locations, dates, times, and direct links, you'll find everything waiting for you on malagaradio.net.
And if one topic particularly caught your attention, don't forget this is just one podcast in a much bigger collection. You'll find active adventures for outdoor activities and sports, out and about for food and hospitality, like a local for deeper destination stories, the Spotlight series exploring interesting places and people, plus more than 200 podcasts covering life across the Costa del Sol.
You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Alexa, and through the Malaga Radio app.
And somewhere out there, I'm still convinced Baptiste would leave Torre del Mar covered head to toe in bright pink powder after the Carrera del Color.
I think we've established that was always your plan.
Absolutely.
For the record, I would be attempting to remain dignified throughout the event.
While covered in bright pink powder.
An impossible challenge, apparently.
Thank you for spending part of your week with us.
And if you're up in the morning, don't forget to join us on Freshly Squeezed, where we help you navigate what's happening across the Costa del Sol day by day.
Until next time, enjoy the week ahead.
Take care.
Malaga Radio. Malaga Radio.